want to start with a question. When was the last time you came into downtown Portland, and why did you come? Was it maybe to see a festival or catch a show? If so, you probably saw a lot of people downtown. This summer's festivals and events have, for the most part, had a pretty good attendance. Or are you one of the people still working downtown? If you worked here before the pandemic, you know how different it is now. Public transit, parking, coffee shops, and lunch spots all used to be a lot more crowded than they are now. The issues facing downtown Portland, homelessness, crime, trash, they all existed before the pandemic, but the pandemic really amplified them. And it's not just Portland's downtown that struggled. Downtown areas in lots of big cities around the country have had the same types of problems over the last few years. We feel like we hear the same stories and the same complaints coming from cities like Seattle or Denver. But some of them are recovering better than others. And a new study shows that almost every city is recovering better than Portland. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley looked at cell phone data, how many phones were pinging in what areas and how they were moving around to see how many people are visiting downtown this year compared with 2019. And Portland came in, get this, 60th place out of 62 cities. The only cities that scored worse were Cleveland, Ohio, and San Francisco. Now, according to the data, Portland has only reached about 41% recovery. The top cities, by the way, were Salt Lake City, Bakersfield, California, and Columbus, Ohio. All of their downtowns are actually doing better than they were before the pandemic. We talked with one of the researchers on this study.
It's super interesting to see which ones bounced back and which ones did not. So Portland, sadly, is near the bottom. San Francisco is actually at the very bottom. And so there's a number of cities that haven't even recovered as half as much of the activity as they had 3 years ago. So what's going on in these places? Well, we did some models to kind of figure out, using regression models and statistical correlations, to figure out what factors matter most. And it turns out the number one factor that I think it's hurting places like Portland and San Francisco is the economy. I like to say it's the economy, stupid. The famous saying, because both Portland and San Francisco have gotten overly concentrated in just a couple of sectors. And the most vulnerable sector to have in your downtown economy is professional services.
Yeah, so did you catch that? The researchers say the biggest reason downtown Portland isn't recovering is because we've lost so much of the big crowds of people who used to work there.
Small offices of professionals are the ones that have chosen to work from home. Many of the bigger offices, companies have cracked down, said you have to come in 2 or 3 times a week. But lawyers working by themselves, or accountants, or people working in office with just 3 or 4 people, they've really chosen to work from home now, perhaps permanently. So that's really hurting these economies. And
well, we've heard a lot from businesses over the past 2 years who say they are done with downtown Portland. They are packing up and literally leaving. Just last week, the Oregonian reported that Unitas Community Credit Union is moving its headquarters from Southwest 6th Avenue downtown out to Tigard, and nearly 180 employees are going with. They say they're moving to a hybrid model of work, and they just don't need as much space as their downtown location offered. And moving to the suburbs will be an easier commute for their workers who are coming into the office. The Portland Business Journal reported last week that downtown Portland offices now have a 26% vacancy rate. We've heard from many businesses who say they're leaving because of crime or issues with the homeless population, or simply because the suburbs gave them a better deal. And lots of businesses are closing down their offices altogether because their workers are remote and they just don't need the physical space anymore. Even Portland's city employees, thousands of people who used to commute to downtown every day, are only back in their offices maybe 1 or 2 days a week. So where does downtown Portland go from here? Well, some companies are trying to get workers to come back to the office, but it's not likely to get back to the way it was before. For a lot of people, remote work just makes more sense for a lot of reasons. Some surveys suggest that the shift to remote work will be permanent for up to half of the workforce in major cities, especially large congested areas that also have a lot of tech jobs. The researchers say it's time to start thinking about a new downtown or using downtown areas differently.
What they could do if they wanted to do better, if they wanted to look like San Diego, for instance, or New York even, which is back at 78% of pre-pandemic levels, beef up your arts and entertainment sectors. Tourism is bringing back a number of different cities. And then having more residential downtown, of course, is another way to get more people back.
Now, like I mentioned, we're already seeing this in Portland. People are still willing to come downtown for a show or a festival. Lots of them are. So what do you think? How would you like to see downtown Portland transform in the coming years? All the ways to get in touch with us are at the bottom of your screen. Email us at thestory@kgw.com. Use the hashtag #TheStoryKGW on Twitter or leave us a voicemail. You can call us at 503-226-5090.